Rocking and rolling. Hey guys, episode 2 here of the Power Hour. Today we have shifted the things around a little bit. We're inside a power rack. The laptop is set up on a big green egg. So this is all about strength and power and bringing great people on to talk. Host here, Aaron Osmus. Obviously today we got Josh Heidegger from USC. He's the director of Olympic sports. Came from the football side. Known Josh a long time. We actually shared a rack, I think, in Squat-tober 2016 a couple times. We had a little PR party down at the yard in Hermosa Beach. We got some PRs that day. It was a fun experience.
Yeah, baby.
Kind of followed along this whole time. Now co-worker. I've been back up at SC a little over a year and get to see this guy every day, 10, 12 hours a day. So we train together. We throw ideas at each other. We share budget stuff. It's a great relationship. So again, this is his show. I'm just along for the ride, and I want to welcome Big Josh Heidegger.
Excited to be on, man. Share my screen here with you guys. Before we get going, I just wanted to say thanks, AA. I mean, your friendship to me over the years has been awesome. When you were with Sorenex, that crew was awesome. But when you reached out and we formed a bond through Squat-tober, it's been good ever since. So excited to be on here, man. But on that same facet, I think we're all surrounded by a circle of people that pour into us, and hopefully it's a good one. For me, it's been an awesome one, and I would not be where I am today without a group of awesome mentors. So quick shout out and thank you to them. My original strength coach, Jimmy Radcliffe, when I was an athlete at Oregon, showed me what it was to be a strength coach. That was my first vision of the profession. So very thankful to him. Ivan Lewis giving me an opportunity to be an intern at University of Washington and then bringing me on board at USC. I owe a lot to him. Very thankful for his guidance and leadership, but mostly for his friendship as well. He's been huge for me. And then my guys at Cal during my time there, Mike and Damon and Scott, and then my time at USC, all the assistants that I've worked alongside. A couple that I'll shout out: Tori Becton, Keith Belton, Mark Phillip, and Danny Van Dyke. And then my staff. I have an awesome staff that I get to go to work with every day. And then we're alongside AA, you and your staff. So very, very grateful for where I'm at, but humbled and blessed to have had great mentors and people along the way. So without further ado, let's get into it, guys. The presentation today is called 10 Commandments of Being an Elite Strength Coach. My thoughts and things that I've learned along the way through my journey. I hope you can get one or two things out of this talk to make you a better coach, or to make the coaches underneath you, the employees that work for you, better, more elite. That's all this is. Put this together for my staff to kind of standardize how we coach and why we do it the way we do it. So let's get right into it. Commandment number one. It's all about connection. Okay, connection is the gold standard. Okay, you want buy-in, you want trust. You have to connect with your athletes. It's the gold standard of what we do as coaches. You got to be interested in their development, and they got to know that, because people don't know. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them. And I've seen that. That's tried and true. I've seen it play out again and again and again in my career. Some strategies. Right there at the top, power of the human touch. Okay, the fist bump, the power of the pound. When you give somebody a high five or a hug or a handshake, you release oxytocin in your brain, and then that's the feel good. That's the love hormone. And so it's no mistake that the most successful teams have all those funny handshakes and stuff. I mean, it's the power of human touch. Next, we got positive reinforcement. Social media is an awesome platform for this. I think there's a lot of negativity and reasons not to be on social media. I think this is a fun one and an important one for our kids. It's a great way to positively reinforce the work that they're doing and the way that they're going about it. And then the last one down there, getting to know the personal side. AA, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on the experience you've had with that during your career.
Yeah, I think this part is something that I definitely ramped up later in my career. Didn't know the importance of it early. Was really had that line drawn, coach, athlete, coach them sets and reps. And kind of after that, they're off on their own. And I think getting this personal side, these times you get with players at meals, travel, sit with them on the bus. We sit down as a strength staff when we go to like dinner or breakfast with our guys. We spread out as a strength staff and sit with our players and talk to them, especially in the early part, because we wanted to get to know the personal side a little quicker, so we get that buy-in, that trust, because it's so important. And walking, leaving for the day, going to the parking garage, seeing a player 50 feet in front of you, instead of just letting him walk that way 50 feet the whole time, run up and get beside him and chat it up as you're going that way. And just phone calls, this and that. It's their birthday, just little stuff where you text them on their birthday or call them on their birthday, FaceTime, just stuff like that it goes a long way.
100%. So crucial to get to know your athlete as a person. And if that's a tough one for you guys, I mean, at the end there, the 3 F's for me, that's family, that's fun, and that's favorite. So ask them about their family. Ask them about something, that they like to do for fun. And then an easy one, ask them what their favorite fill in the blank, favorite food, favorite song, favorite show they're watching. Easy ways to connect. Commandment number 2, okay, while you're on the floor, coach. Make sure you stay on point, okay? 100% investment in the athlete during a training session. I think it's so easy for us to get distracted, especially in big weight rooms. There's always people walking through. There's always things going on. But when you're on the floor, when it's your time to shine, make sure you're locked in. Things that we strive for, okay, laser focus, make sure our cues are hitting the target, okay, so quality coaching cues, and then consistent energy. Make sure that whatever energy you bring, you can bring every day. It's got to be authentic and it's got to be you. Things we try to avoid, distractions, okay, so, getting distracted by other coaches, conversations that don't have to do with what, you're tasked with at the time, coaching cues that are vague and excessive, okay? I'll really point that one out. For me, that's been a struggle. For some of you out there, that is a current struggle. I think Nick Winkelman does a great job when it comes to cueing and talking about keeping it simple, okay? The one-word cue and making sure that it hits. So avoid excessive coaching. And then energy vampire, okay? I'm a big John Gordon fan. Don't suck the life out of the room. Bring a consistent energy every day. Put a smile on your face. Love what you do. Number 3, okay, the 3rd commandment, don't get stuck in the mud. Have a sense of urgency. You got to move around, okay? You got to get eyes on athletes. It doesn't matter if it's a 5-person crew or you got 45, 50 football players. The more you move around, the more eyes you can get on athletes, the better they're going to develop, okay? And the more, results you're going to see in the long run. So don't get stuck in the mud. Get eyes on as many athletes as you can. Some strategies for that. Use global cues, okay? So if you got something going on one-on-one with an athlete, everybody around could probably, get something out of that same cue. So make sure that your cues are loud enough for everyone to hear, okay? That's what I consider a global cue. Project that feedback, apply it to the whole group. Next one, blind spots, okay? So for young coaches, moving around helps not to create blind spots. But when you're planning, okay, when you're programming, when you're thinking about the flow of a training session, make sure you're not creating supersets or situations that have blind spots. Okay, it depends on your training facility, I understand, but if we can keep those blind spots at a minimum, we're going to be, cruising towards that elite status as a coach. And then 3rd, get on their level. Okay, some athletes, some kids, they work better eye to eye when you're talking to them. So if they're in a half kneeling position and you're 5 feet away, standing up at 6'3", 6'5", it's better if you got in a half kneeling position and was looking at them eye to eye as you explain what you need from them in that exercise. Okay, commandment number 4, be the thermostat. Okay, bring the juice. You got to set your tone. You got to set it right up front, okay? Just like we got going on, we're trying to flatten the curve. We got COVID-19 going on. We've seen how viruses spread. Enthusiasm and energy is the same way, okay? So make sure that you're spreading that enthusiasm because it's contagious. We've all talked about or heard it talked about thermostat mode versus thermometer mode. We want to be in a culture that's like a thermostat. You set the standard, you set the temperature, and you leave it there. It's consistent every day. Okay. We want that for our training facilities. We want that for our teams. Okay. And most sport coaches want that as well. What we don't want is the thermometer mode. That's the team, that's the culture, that's the facility that goes up and down depending on who's in the room, depending on what kind of mood you're in, how much energy, what was your sleep like, did you have a good lunch, yada, yada, yada. Okay, we don't want to fall into thermometer mode, but it's easy to slip into that mode. Commandment number 5, okay, be passionate about quality movement. As a coach, this is a no-brainer, but I've got to point it out. Okay, sometimes we can get so numbers driven and so analytical. At the end of the day, when you coach, are you coaching quality movement? Period. Performance driven, not numbers driven. Okay, how you do anything is how you do everything. My staff's probably heard me say that a million times, but I truly, truly believe it. It's not what you do, it's how you do it. Okay, make sure you are one of those training facilities. You are one of those coaches that when people come watch, when a parent comes to watch, when a sport coach comes to watch, a coworker, it doesn't matter who it is, they're seeing high quality coaching and high quality movement. A couple things to think about when it comes to, ensuring quality movement. Have a slow cooker mentality, okay? AA, when you put those ribs in the crock pot, do you put them in for 10 minutes or a couple hours?
Yeah, all day.
All day, right?
Yeah.
Good things take time. Okay, quality movement takes time. So make sure you have an athletic development model that allows for time. Okay, make sure it allows for unique individuals to grow. Make them earn it. Okay, when it comes to that slow cooker mentality, have stages, have steps. Let the kid know, hey, here's what you need to do to progress. Okay, and here's why you're not progressing. Okay, here's why he's progressing. If you have stages or steps to your program, by year 3 or 4, your kids are going to be where they want to be and where you want them to be. So if that's not something you currently do, it's something worth looking into. Make your kids earn it. Okay, when it comes to intensity and variation, it's easy with the social media world to feel like I need to be doing that variation and that exercise with that rep scheme. Keep it simple. Number 6, okay, the mental edge. We see this all the time play out. Okay, it doesn't matter what sport you're in. It doesn't matter how old the athletes are. Psychology trumps physiology. Okay, you see somebody win that just had no business winning. Okay, March Madness, stuff like that. We as coaches can be an awesome resource in teaching our kids the mental edge, making sure that the experiences we provide in the weight room, the examples and stories we talk about, and then the education that we push to them promotes a mindset of excellence. And then constantly reminding our kids, I feel like a lot of times I spend a good deal of my time talking about, hey, let's control what we can control, because there's so much that we can't control, but the things that we can control are vital. If we can really master these things, we're the captain of our ship and we're going places. That list right there, we've got effort, we've got attitude. These are things that you can control. Energy, your focus, okay, the preparation you bring every single day. What body language do you walk around with? And how do you respond to an event? How do you respond to adversity? Then, on the flip side, reminding them, hey, when things come up that they can't control, point those out, whether it's the weather, opponents, officials, spectators, how a coach reacts to you, the plays that they call, playing time, any past or future event. You have no control over those things. So being able to represent those kind of in a theoretical way to your kid and say, hey, you can control these things, but you can't control these things, so forget about them. Some books that I've read in the past that I really like, from a mentality standpoint. If you've had your nose in the books, when it comes to X's and O's and science stuff, I would encourage you to grab one of these bad boys, give it a read, go through it, find some nuggets, and then be able to apply what you've read to your teams, okay, to your training session. I feel like so many times we read good books and then put it on the shelf, and that's where the information stays. Make sure that you have a plan for taking this information and applying it. Okay, for me, creative way of doing that could be reading through a book or a series of books and putting that information on your training card, whether that's quotes or summaries. A couple of years ago, I made a weekly newsletter that involved, some summaries of some books that I'd read, just some creative, ways to get this information in your athlete's head. Okay, get them thinking about this awesome stuff that they're probably never going to read, minus maybe 5% of those kids that are kind of crazy and like this kind of stuff. But a way for you to get those lessons, to get those nuggets of information in their mind, to get them thinking about it and engaging mentally at a higher level in their sport, but in life. Have the ability to demonstrate. We could sit here and talk about this all day. Okay, as a coach, it doesn't matter how old you get, you got to have the ability to demonstrate if you want to be elite. Athletes and human beings, for the most part, are visual learners. So you have to be able to demonstrate your exercise with precision. And it doesn't matter if you're not able to do it at some point, you got to at least make sure there's an intern or an assistant or someone that can demonstrate properly for your kids, because it's vital. Okay, we got a lot of visual learners.
Josh, quick, the demonstration too, something I've really found is, like I said, if you're not the best, but you have a staff member, like you just said, or an intern that's like, hey, this guy can nail this, I want him to be my visual. But something too I've also seen is knowing those players that are really good at certain movements, and having an actual player demo is also a very powerful way that the other teammates see, like, oh wow, you get good at things, you get recognized, so therefore I want to get better at things. So it's another way.
Absolutely. I love having athletes demonstrate, especially those capable athletes that you may be taking, aside and said, hey, here, I need this done a certain way. Can you demo for me? It builds buy-in, exactly what you're saying. It builds buy-in. Going off of that, AA, our first point there, practice what you preach. I feel like you and your staff do an outstanding job of this. Maybe just talk to us about why this is so important for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're asking these athletes to do a lot and do a lot of exercises that take time to learn. Sometimes they're not the most comfortable things to do, squatting and cleaning and snatching and deadlifts and things like that. Or, it takes time, it takes a lot of focus, and it takes a lot of their energy and it takes a lot out of them. So, something we do as a strength staff with football is we know somewhere around between 12 and 2, usually if meetings start at 2, between 12 and 2, a lot of the players come through the weight room to pick up some form of nutrition to try to get like a quick snack lunch type deal before they go to meetings. So we purposely, as a strength staff, go out and we always plan our lifts as a staff during that window, because we know they're going to be coming through. And then they see us, doing squats, doing deadlifts, doing cleans, doing heavy dumbbell presses, doing hamstring work, RDLs. They're seeing we're doing those same movements that we asked them to do. So when they come through, they start interacting, and they stop what they're doing. They start whipping their phones out sometimes and start filming, like, oh, look at our strength staff getting into that, and during lunch and these things. They're very prideful of that, and they look up to you a lot. So I think this is a great time, again, to kind of build that trust, that loyalty, because they're seeing, like, hey, these guys, live it, and they live the lifestyle that they're asking us to be, which has become strong and powerful. So we definitely do that. And the buy-in, like you said in this slide here, the buy-in will explode.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys do an outstanding job of that. It's so vital. If you want to be an elite coach, you've got to practice what you preach, when it comes to, the actual training, but also just with the intent. We preach intent to our kids. We should probably have intent too when we train. Moving down the line there, we've got copycat. Okay. In most cases, your athletes are going to try and replicate the exercise exactly how you do it. Okay. I've been, guilty of this a time or two. A lazy demonstration will lead to laziness from your athlete. You don't understand why. And then someone points out to you, well, that's actually how you demonstrated it. Okay. You got to swallow your pride and learn from it. Okay. If you choose to use an intern or an athlete to demo, like AA and I were talking about earlier, make sure you prep them on exactly how you want it done. Okay. There's nothing worse than having an intern or someone hop in there and do a demo and then they do it wrong, and then you have to demo, and then you look bad in front of the kids. So make sure everybody's on point when it comes to the details of your demo.
And something there to jump in with here, Josh, is, you know, we had a guy on staff named Wendell Richards, and he was, you know, he did Olympic lifting kind of as a sport at a pretty high level when he was, you know, younger and things. So he was pretty fine-tuned guy of the movements. And, you know, he had like, you know, women's lacrosse, and you could tell like his teachings, because he demonstrates so much to her as these girls. I mean, they just started, you could tell they started looking, timing. I mean, all the positions, it was like a replica of Wendell. And, you know, to me, that's a sign of, you know, you're a good teacher and you're a good demonstrator, because when you're athletes, like you said, it's like they should almost look like a copycat. And the sounds, the movements, and how it looks and how it smells start looking like the coach. You know, it's usually done a pretty good job. And you see that from coach to coach when they're involved with their own personal team. You see, like you said, that copycat, that form, and it's pretty neat to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like as practitioners, we're pretty good with minimal effective dose when it comes to programming and planning. I would encourage you to, you know, take this and use this in the demonstration and explanation phase of your coaching as well. Usually we're overboard. Okay, keep it simple. Athletes have short attention spans. Human beings have short attention spans. We're talking about 18 years old. So keep that in mind and plan accordingly when you're explaining things, and try to use minimum effective dose. I heard that, you know, this said a while back, I can't remember who said it, but it really stuck out to me, and I loved it, and I've kind of grasped onto it ever since. You know, an easy way to think of a great demo is clear, clean, and crisp. Okay, we're clear with our instructions, we're speaking with appropriate volume, you're using concise language, and you're checking for understanding. Then when it comes to the demonstration itself, the visual that you provide should be clean and efficient, proper starting position, good intensity, the tempo that you want for the movement, finish position, all of it, okay? And then crisp, it should feel rehearsed, okay? Your kids should see a good finished product when you're demoing. Good energy, good eye contact, the whole 9 yards. All right, commandment number 8, have a growth mindset. Always researching, visiting, talking to other coaches, best practice, okay? That's what we're always seeking. We're always seeking best practice. The way we do that is by researching, okay? And by getting out and going to conferences and, you know, getting these certifications, but also just, you know, by picking up the phone and calling the guy next door and asking him how he does it and why he does it. You know, at the end of the day, the highest achievers, the elite people in every profession, they have this mindset. You know, they always want to get a little bit better. They always want to understand a little bit deeper. They want to go to their grave growing and having a growth mindset. And I feel like if you adopt that as a coach, it's only going to help you. And that last line right there, I truly believe that the day you stop learning is the day that your training facility dies. And none of us want that to happen. So continue to learn, continue to grow, and seek out those opportunities. Commandment number 9, be organized, be prepared. This goes without saying. I mean, we have to be organized. We have to be prepared. One thing that I'll kind of point out before I read that is you got to plan for problems. I've heard it said that, you know, what can go wrong will go wrong. It's like an ancient Chinese proverb or some military saying or something, but it's so true. And I've seen it happen in my, you know, career over and over and over again. And I'm so glad that, you know, I adopted this kind of mindset early on of being prepared, you know, for those problems that may arise. I learned that from Ivan. He was great at that. You know, he kind of planned out each and every part of the training session and what could go wrong at each and every part. You know, so we're prepared. And I feel like that's kind of an underutilized tool for a lot of coaches, you know, that organization and that preparation. It can set you apart, okay? It can make you elite. And a big thing of it, especially when you're, you know, with an in-season sport, is you're not wasting time. You know what I mean? You're efficient. Things are running smoothly. You want a clean product from start to finish when you're in season, when you don't have a lot of time to waste, you know. So from start to finish, everything, runs smoothly when you're organized and prepared.
Hey, Josh, I get it. And, I get exactly what you're saying. Is there, off the top of your head, is there just an example of something where you got caught as a coach where you were unorganized or you didn't plan for that and it really bit you in front of a baseball team or a big football group or, your tennis team, where you kind of got caught with your pants down, like, I wasn't kind of thinking of something? So if you had just a minute example, anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Double A, as you know, we train and work in a weight room that gets shared by almost every sport at USC. So there's been times where, I felt like I'd planned everything to a T and perfectly, and then I walked to the turf to start our session or to start the next phase. And there's the track team, having practice because it's raining outside. One of the 2 days out of the year in Southern California that it's raining.
Right.
And so you got to, I've had to adjust on the fly, when that happens. And if you're not prepared and you don't have anything, kind of in your Rolodex of ideas, as far as, when those problems arise, it makes it tough. So luckily, usually on the other side of that, especially at this point in my career, but as a young gun, there was definitely times in the early stages where I was barely organized and prepared enough for the session as it was. When something happened or a team, showed up and was, doing recovery in an area that I wasn't ready for, it threw me through a little bit of a loop. So I've definitely learned from those situations.
Gotcha.
And then number 10, we started with connection, and then we'll finish with principles. Okay, so do what is proven to work. I think it's great that this slides on here, especially after what Scott talked about on Tuesday. It's so important to have a solid philosophy, especially when it comes to training. Okay, so have a solid training philosophy. With social media and everything out there, it's so easy to have your eyes wander and so many options and opportunities to do different things. Methods change. They've heard it said, people much smarter than me. Methods change, but principles rarely do. Okay, that's the same for our profession. It applies, to a T to what we do. So keep that in mind. Okay, if you're a young professional or you're a seasoned 20-year vet, continue to do what is proven to work, and then that'll it'll garner good results. I promise you. So just a quick recap, guys, on these 10 commandments. Commandment number 1: connection. Okay, connect with your athletes. Okay, every single training session. And that might just be, hey, trying to say every single person's name, whether you got a small team or a big team. Commandment number 2: be all in. Okay, be all in. Don't get distracted. Commandment number 3: make sure we're having a sense of urgency. Don't get stuck in the mud. Okay, make sure you're moving around, creating good angles, get eyes on athletes, no blind spots. Number 4, okay, be the thermostat. Set the tone. Okay, don't get caught in that thermometer mode. Set the tone for your training session. Okay, when someone walks into your training facility, what is the temperature going to feel like? Okay, what are they going to think when they walk into your training session? Number 5, quality, quality, quality. Okay, we are always striving for quality movement in everything we do. Okay, be it an agility drill, be it a weightlifting exercise, it does not matter. Okay, we should be focused, if we're trying to be elite strength coaches, on quality movement. Okay, and it takes time. Okay, and it takes progression. So slow your roll. For most of us, we need to slow our roll. Number 6, the mental edge. Okay, begin pouring into your athletes when it comes to their mentality. Okay, and it simply starts with how they walk in the room. Okay, what is their body language? What is the intent that they bring to the exercise that they have in front of them? Okay, if you can teach them how to bring proper intent, okay, a violent intent, an explosive intent, a focused intent, that's going to take care of a lot of things when it comes to sport. Okay, when it comes to them going to the field of battle, if they've learned how to do that in training, it's going to transfer. Okay, and ultimately we want what we do to transfer physiologically, but if we can get some things to transfer from a mental edge standpoint, that's when we start kind of getting to that upper echelon of being a great strength coach. Demonstrations. Okay, demonstrate or die, I like to say. Be a good demonstrator. Okay, so practice what you preach. Make sure you're staying in shape. Make sure you're staying strong. Make sure that when kids see you, they're fired up. Okay. AA and his staff, when the kids walk by and see them training and getting after it, they're fired up. Be a good demonstrator. Okay. Demonstrate with precision, and remember the 3 C's: clean, clear, and crisp. Okay. Number 8, go to your grave with a growth mindset. Okay. Always trying to learn. Okay. The guy that's going to come at you on Tuesday, Tim Karen, one of the smartest cats I know. The guy has read 1 million books. He's continually looking to learn and grow. Okay. That's how we all need to be. We all need to be looking at, how can I grow? How can I get better? Who do I need to talk to? And then plan for the problems. Okay. Be organized, be prepared. Okay. What's the worst thing that could happen right now? I'm going to be prepared and organized for that. Okay. When we go into the field of battle or a training session, when you're prepared, when you're organized, good things are going to happen. And then do what's proven to work. Okay. Have a good, solid philosophy like Scott talked about on Tuesday. Stick true to that philosophy. There's a lot going on out there with social media, but principles are few. Okay. Methods are many, but principles are few. Stick to those principles. One of my favorite quotes, and I heard this a while back listening to a coach talk. He said, elite coaches take information from the best in their field and interpret it to fit their setting. I could not agree more. Okay. And for me, a lot of what I talked to you guys about, the initial list of how I developed these 10 Commandments, was from, one of my best friends, Dwayne Bradshaw, okay, the head guy over at Washington State. He came to me with a list of awesome, coaching attributes. And then I adapted that into this 10 Commandment presentation. Okay. So everything that we do, we're getting from someone else. Okay. There's information out there. Go find it and adapt it to your setting. Okay. Adapt it to your needs and to fit, the athletes and the staff that you have around you. And something we like to talk about as a staff is inch wide and a mile deep. Okay. You can put all the tools you want in your belt, but if you don't have a deep understanding of those tools when it comes time to use them, the craftsmanship's going to be shoddy. Okay. If you got someone that's building you your dream home, are you going to want a construction worker to do it or a craftsman to do it? Okay. This guy can, he can put it all together and it'll be okay. But this guy, he's got such a deep understanding and a holistic view of what he does. The end work of what he puts together is going to be beautiful. Okay. That's who you'd want building your dream home. Okay. And that's who you'd want, coaching your kids someday or coaching these athletes, someone that's an inch wide and a mile deep, big tool belt, but they have a good understanding of everything that's in their tool belt. Guys, if there's anything that jumped out to you and you want to talk more about, that's my information. That's my handle on Instagram. I'm not super active on there, but I check it once in a while. So shoot me an email, shoot me a DM. It's been awesome talking with you. Simple stuff, but stuff that I, wholeheartedly believe will help you, be an elite strength coach. So hopefully you got, 1 or 2 things that you can take away. I appreciate your time. Again, feel free to reach out. AA, appreciate the opportunity, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Got a little helicopter going over. We might have a little background noise here, but yeah, we wrapped it up. Like I said, good stuff. Again, someone I've worked with or work with now and had a pass with. This next guy we're gonna bring on real quick to let him tell you what he's going to talk on next Tuesday. Another guy I've worked with. Known this guy since probably 2006 or 7 down at Ole Miss, and been a part of my growth and everything since then. So Tim Karen here is going to come on. He's got a pretty strong mustache going right now, and I think he's going to tell you like a little bit about what's coming up next week. You're on mute.
Hey, everybody. How's that?
There we go.
All right. So next week, I just want to dive into, honestly, and Coach Josh made a really good point to it, is like principles stay the same and methods change. And that building off of that and looking at these principles of training that, quite frankly, govern everything we do, but I think is so often forgotten. And I want to do a little bit different approach of taking some of the programs we've written here and maybe some of the programs I've written at other places with maybe AA, and just kind of go over how those principles are in practice. Because it's one thing to talk about it. It's one thing to kind of go into like, oh man, you should be doing progressive overload and SED and specificity. It's another thing to actually demonstrate that and show that. And I think that's where the real craftsmanship comes in, because anyone could put an idea down on paper, but let's actually see it go tangible. And I would like to dive deeper into the practical side, the logistics, right? So going over something like progressive overload, we're going to do a progression of this, and how does it implement into an actual program? And just diving into that and looking at it in terms of tangible representation. So when you're at home or you're writing your programs, you have something you can go, okay, like I remember that thought process. I know that principle's true, but how do I actually implement it? And that hopefully is going to be the intent. You can walk away from that collectively a little bit firmer grasp. We can become a little bit more entrenched in this idea that principles have to be universally true, and it's our start point. And then we can layer in different tools, different methods, all these fun stuff that we want to get to. We're building off this bedrock there, and then we know how to practically apply it.
On a personal note, T-Bone, saw that wedding finger. Anything going on personally in your life today?
3-year anniversary today. Woo!
Awesome. 3-year anniversary today.
Yeah. So it means someone liked me at least for the last 3 years. So I got that going for me. Not all the time, but.
Congrats. I remember I talked to you this morning. I said, I saw you post your picture, and I literally thought you guys had been married a year. Then I read the caption and it said year 3. I'm like, holy cow, time's flying.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. A lot has changed in the past couple of years, man. I got a mustache. I got a baby. I've been married. In that order, I think. Pretty sure.
Awesome. Well, folks, Josh wrapped it up. We got T-Bone coming on Tuesday, Power Hour at 1 o'clock. Just keep spreading the news. It's just a fun time. It's very, it's a casual learning experience. Again, we're going to continue this as long as possible and keep this rolling. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next Tuesday. And stay strong and stay fit and more than anything, stay healthy and stay home. So take care, guys, and we'll see you next week.